And this is Bitcoin futures. You can see Bitcoin futures have some form of accumulation in the background. If I mark it in, you'll be able to see it better. I see it like that. Here was the lows of the original range. I think this occurred, unfortunately, which the market was forced to take into account as it happened. Price completed the accumulation here and began a breakout. Here's the highs of the adjacent range. The breakout wasn't supported here, and prices come back to test the breakout for strength. And since then, prices moved sideways, just absorbing supply. You can see that supply was drawn out down here on this bar, and it was absorbed. Next bar was up. Prices come back to retest that level again, and volume was much lower this time. And this week was a test for supply. Almost a mini shakeout, because the low of this week's bar moved below the low of the previous bar, just in there. Can't really see it very well with all my lines. Just in there. And price closed back at its high for the week, or very close to it, and it did not draw out much volume. This leaves this market really well placed to move higher next week in response, possibly up to this 29,000 level, especially if trading conditions were proven to be favourable this week. If trading conditions were not very favourable, you probably see a secondary test for supply, but with a narrower spread, something like this, next week in response. But I think given any sort of reasonable trading conditions next week, the market will at least attempt to push higher in response to this week's bar, possibly up to the 29,000 level. And if that was successfully done over the next couple of weeks, the next higher level is just above 35,000. And that's possibly where this market's heading, if I'm correct. And this is a accumulation zone. This is strength in the background, if that's the case. This is just a testing of the breakout for strength. 29,000 is the target in the near term, and that's in here. And the 36,000 is the next target after that. If increased supply was drawn out for some reason, there should be considerable buying support adjacent to where the market has previously accumulated, where this buying has occurred. So there should be considerable support all the way down to 15,000, if that's the case. A break below 15,000 would be very negative. But I don't expect that's going to happen. I expect after this week's bar, price will attempt to move higher this week.